when I look back to my life, to the turning points in my life, shifts, ups and downs, I realized that, some of them are similar to a lot of ours, a lot of things in our lives. My actually personal story go back to the spring 1996, when I felt an excruciating pain in my lower side of my belly. And I was on a public bus, squeezed. It was a packed bus, and I was going to my job that I was hating at the time. I was a copywriter in an advertising agency. I said, my body probably is reacting to my misery. I was so unhappy at the time. So I was rushed to the hospital, to the ER, and of course I tolerated the pain too much. So my appendix burst, and the infection spread to all my body, which of course is a fatal thing, which was called peritonitis. Well, of course, after 3 intestine operations, near-death experiences, and a month of stay in the hospital, I said, look, you have to get out of this life. And then I decided that I need to be an academician, which I love to be. My passion was to pursue my academic career, and I should pursue in the United States as a PhD student. I had a master's degree at the time from a national university. Well, my family is not rich, so I have no chance to go abroad with my family finances. But I tried so hard. I have tons of rejections from a lot of American universities where I wanted to go at the time, because my brother was also a PhD student in University of Pennsylvania. So I was applying to many universities, but there was no scholarship, there was no assistantship, so I was stuck in Turkey. Anyway, at the time I said, okay, why not giving a chance to a small, respected university in Turkey? And I applied for a PhD program, and I failed in the language exam, and they asked me to translate a paragraph into Turkish, and they asked me a text where it was taken from a book that I had translated in the first place. So I said, okay, well, maybe academia in Turkey is not for me, because they were not very encouraging, because I was the only one I failed, by the way. And they got all the students who could not speak a word of English. Well, so I tried again. And while I was, lying in the bed at the hospital after all those operations, with all those tubes, coming from my nose and everything, the phone rings. And my mom, picks up the phone, and she begins to cry hysterically. I said, okay, your dad called, and you're in at the last moment to Temple University in Philadelphia with a full scholarship, with stipend, full stipend and everything. And it was a dream come true. All of a sudden, in a hospital bed, I couldn't actually scream or cry or anything, but I was in bliss. I started packing. Here I am with my mom, 20 pounds less, obviously in recovery. I wasn't well enough. So in a huge luggage, so I start packing to hit the road to Philly. Of course, college life, of course, as many of you know, in the United States, was refreshing and, of course, encouraging. I met so many mentors, especially female professors, who helped me a lot, encouraged me, and inspired me, supported me, not just intellectually, but as a human being, I changed. And I gained trust to the academia once again. And I decided to go and help other, especially, young female students in my own country to do the same. Of course, I was majoring in media studies. I was a media, student, and I was being treated as a kind of a, colleague or a promising scholar rather than a student, which was new then at the time also. And also, the technology was changing around me because I was a media student or a media, academician. I was basically looking around to see how the technology was changing. We were going around in the library and we were, going through the index cards. Some of you are too young to see that, I know, but I actually use those things. Or, inter-office mail for correspondences. Can you believe this? Or, microfiche for digital reading. So basically, I observed all those changes, at my college life. Of course, when I come back to Turkey, I face this, and of course, with an attention span of 10 minutes. So you're very patient, believe me. My students would be bored by now. So they're on the Facebook, they're popping on the Facebook. At 2 a.m., they said, okay, hi, Doc. I just wanted to say hi. Okay. So the technology and, of course, hierarchy, all those, relationships also changed. So after 4 years of PhD and 1 year, working as an adjunct faculty at Temple, it was time to go back. It was time to go back to my own country. As I said, my years at Temple changed me deeply, very profoundly. So those are, my graduation days, with my proud mother. So it was time to go back. And I booked a flight. My flight tickets, to Istanbul on the day of September 11, 2001. Yeah. Great time to leave the American soil, right? So I was the last person, believe me, to fly from the United States. So it was a turning point in my life for like millions of other people around the world. I never forget that date. I was, on the flight when I stepped, on Turkish soil. Said, "Do you know what happened?" I said, "What is happening?" Because the pilot did not tell us when we were, up in the air. So now, of course, I came back to Istanbul Bilgi University. I have been working there, since 2001. I'm a very proud member, faculty member of Bilgi, actually, because I know that, this university experience will erase my toxic experiences back, in the past. I'm happy there. So my actually motto is trying to touch other, female, especially female students' lives with limited financial resources, but unlimited intellectual capacity. Thank you very much.